Hello everybody, welcome back. So it's just, I suppose we'll do it for an hour or so, and then tomorrow, as normal for Patreon users, just like I say, just as normal. Everything's fine with me. Don't worry about me. Fine. Just had a bit of a bad week. Sometimes you get them. So I just got sick for, in fact, a week yesterday. Yeah, I made that video on Saturday morning, and basically descended into absolute. Just horrendous vomiting and all kinds of nastiness. So, you don't need to know about it, but yeah, wipe me the hell out. I have a theory, which is that basically, since being in lockdown, I just haven't been ill. I basically haven't been ill. All these other little viruses and stuff, they've not had a chance to get close to me. And now that we're getting back to normal and stuff, forget about coronavirus. Oh my god. Whatever it is that I got the other day, I mean, it wiped me out. My immune system is pretty crap anyway, but yeah, having best part of 18 months off my immune system, basically, I mean, I've only got a couple of white blood cells floating around, trying to fight off the infection. They've been on holiday for 18 months. My white blood cells. Never mind. Anyway, let's have a quick look at what's been going on. And to be honest with you, like the pump today has taken me a bit by surprise, yeah. And in all fairness, like, it hasn't even changed the situation that it was yesterday much, even though it's been pretty good. And I'm sure everybody's feeling a bit of FOMO right now, even me actually, even me. And I'm not really a FOMO type person. Like I said the other day, I've been taking some chips off the table. I was getting a little bit nervous of some of these altcoins that I was holding, not really looking particularly strong, and maybe a reshuffle was due. I put most of my underperforming altcoins and taking some profit from some other altcoins all into Bitcoin. So my portfolio is comprised largely of Bitcoin, although I still have quite a lot of alts, floating around. But the positioning is about 30% alts and about I guess I suppose it'd be 50% Bitcoin and 20% fiat and tether, really. But I mean, looking at the chart here, I mean, I know that's a fair old beast of a candle, but we're still in the accumulation zone, right? So, and normally when you get a big pump or a big dump, what you expect is a cooling off period, and that's kind of what I'd like to expect. But while we're in the accumulation zone, we will remain there and we will accumulate there. This isn't the be all and end all that everything's done and dusted. We could quite easily get rejected from pretty much the level that we're heading up to right now. Basically, if we don't break above 48,360, which, to be honest with you, it looks like we're going to do it in a minute. We have to break above there and close above there. That would be a higher high, and having a higher high there would change the chart structure, and that would be good. But it still would, even at that level, it still means we're in the accumulation zone, marked off more or less at between 48, we'll call it between 48 and 50. I know it's a bit of a large area, but it was a bit of a choppy zone, has been a choppy zone throughout this entire time. So accumulation zones marked off around here and here. So yeah, I mean, I know that we broke up above there the other day. And also, amongst all of this, we do have this giant triangle formation to which we could easily be playing out as well. So we could come all the way up to the top of here, get rejected, and potentially come all the way down to the bottom, 38,000. It's all very much possible. So I know everybody's got their moon boy heads on right now, and yeah, so do I. But you have to also think about what also could happen, and keep your emotions in check. If your plan hadn't already been made, don't make your plan on a day like today. Yeah, do you know what I mean? A plan should be made in advance, and it should be. It should only be altered if certain things go against your plan, and make your plan void, basically. So yeah, my plan remains the same, and will do. And when I'll start moving back into alts, just before I go into all the questions that will be coming up, moving back into alts will be largely to do with a rejection. If we get a rejection on the Bitcoin dominance, and I was saying, I suppose, for the last few days, while I've been more or less, bedridden's not the word. You don't get a chance to be bedridden with two kids, but while I've been, I suppose, off sick from YouTube or whatever, I had noticed that the Bitcoin dominance chart had been leveling out, right? And this doesn't mean that it's going to move all the way up. It just means that the momentum has shifted slightly in favor of this turning up at this stage, which was part of the reason I did the reshuffle of my altcoins to Bitcoin, and I'll stick with that until we get a rejection. Now, we're above the center of the Bollinger Band here on the Bitcoin dominance chart. The green 50 is an opportunity to be rejected, but I'm not really feeling it. I think it's likely to continue a bit higher. The Bollinger Band center has been a very good indicator so far on this Bitcoin dominance chart from the breakdown. Since the breakdown, we start to bounce up after the May crash. Got a fine rejection there. This is a weekly, by the way. Fine rejection there, another fine rejection there. So we could easily get a rejection here, about 44.5. And if you remember that level for Bitcoin dominance, that actually is a decent level to expect a rejection from, because we found ourselves getting support here, and we did spend the best part of a month, toying with the idea of breaking down from there to get those extra moves from the alts that we got. And since then, we've come down to this multi-year support line. So it could break down, but I say it all the time, and I'm probably pretty boring when it comes to talking about the Bitcoin dominance chart, because I always underestimate it. I have to give myself credit for saying this is the area to get into alts, but just as this is a very obvious place to get in, this could easily be the obvious place to get out of alts as well. So let's just hold off and respect what we see here. And like I say, I'm not completely out, of course not, but I did have a reshuffle, and it's basically if anything, it's to do with safety. Whether we pumped or dumped, my overall balance would be less damaged if I had a larger Bitcoin balance than heavier into alts. Obviously, you guys know that. So whether you're a bull or a bear, but you still want to have skin in the game, that's the best place. That's the best way to play it. Anyway, we continue with this pump at the moment. I would expect it to probably get not sold off, but find a rejection around that 48,300 kind of area. But earlier on today, when I made that video, I was saying, look, this is a decent resistance here on the 4 hourly, and look what happened when we finally broke it. We pumped big time just from breaking above that support zone. I mean, the resistance, that was a 6%. I know that's only 6%, but it's 6% for Bitcoin. It takes a fair bit to do that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And so never underestimate a chart, whether it's up, down. So let's crack on, shall we? And stop listening to me rambling about nonsense. Right. Let's have a look. AI to BTC and right. Let's have a look at that. So fetch AI closing scary on the monthly. I've not looked at it on the monthly, so it'll be interesting. I've actually got these loaded up already because I'm a big FET holder. So let's have a look at what you're talking about there on the monthly. What's going on this monthly? Never felt the need to look at it on a monthly before. It doesn't even want to load up. I don't really see anything to be too concerned of. I suppose you've got a bit of bearish divergence. Well, it is bearish divergence, not just a bit. That's. I know what you mean. It's weird. It's a fair old sell-off, but let's not look at this in terms of it being a monthly. It's not a chart really that warrants a monthly. To look at it on a monthly, it's not really old enough to give time of day. I think when we checked this on the weekly, though, there was some good signals. Yeah, there was. Yeah, so we got this Ichimoku cloud conversion baseline cross took place here, and this would suggest long-term continuation from this zone. So, I mean, the candle body closed here and opened here. That's when the signal was formed. So it was more or less just where we got revisited, really, on these lows. The 10 exponential on the weekly that hit it. So as far as this is concerned. I mean that's a bit dodgy there. We'll have to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I mean as far as I'm concerned, that's still a strong signal on the weekly, with an uptick here of the green candle. So I mean of the green cloud. So I'm fine to allow that to continue. Same thing I think is going on. Yeah, stronger signal and actually an earlier signal on the Bitcoin pairing. So the signal actually kicked in a lot lower than this, just above 1,000 sats. So again, two charts based on a weekly to suggest continuation. I wouldn't really think about looking at this on a monthly. It's not old enough to really care about on a monthly. Right, let's have a look. UOS. Let's have a look. Never heard of that beast. Let's have a look. UOS. Right, what is this thing? Right, okay. So I mean, I suppose that's a weekly, so let's not really look at it on a weekly. So it's a young chart. We're gonna have to bring it down a tad to the daily. So relatively flat, to be honest. As far as its price movement, I mean that is what an anomaly. In March 21, I just something that what does this trade at? It doesn't really trade very high either. I mean, as far as this chart's concerned, it's I've got nothing to say about it really. It's turning up from what could maybe hopefully be a low, but we don't know that. It's not old enough to really think about it in terms of lows really. The 4 hourly is okay, it's quite high on the money flow index. It's a fair move. I mean, in a very short space of time, from literally the bottom all the way to the top. So it could just easily be another higher low basically forming here. So I'm not really going to be able to give you anything on this one. It's too young to really care about. The volume on it is too low to really count. I mean, we've got death cross still until we reclaim this 200 exponential on the 4 hourly. I would just be wary that it was just going to continue with its downtrend. Obviously, this could be the low, this could be the bottom. We don't know, and the strength of trend hasn't kicked in yet. But as far as it's this chart is concerned, there's nothing really to write home about, and there's nothing really to take from it. I would say it's not really worth much looking at. Sorry about that. Right, where's Raz? I don't know. It's a freebie this one, but like I say, it's just gonna be a quick one. What did the tongue biopsy show? Oh, I don't know. I haven't got the results on that one. I'm sure it's fine though. Like I say, they said it's fine. They just said, do you want it done? I went, yeah, might as well. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. It's all healed up now anyway, more or less. Right, let's have a look. Hope a big short to 40. Well, the thing is, I wouldn't roll it out. Like I said in that opening monologue that I just put in there, it could easily come all the way down back to 35, playing within that triangle. So yeah, we're pumping today. We could be dumping tomorrow, but if you watch my channel, if you're part of the Patreon, then you know my overall vibe, which is that all previous models still fit. The 4-year cycle, the stock to flow, and I know that they're not very popular models, but they are models that still fit. And so with those, I still hold and go with those, because those are the models that made me go hard and heavy into crypto after the last bear market. So I made some decent money in 2017, studied the overall cycle, and basically decided that there's no better time than just get in at the bottom when the bear market appears to be complete. And since then, that has been my overall theory. It's still working out very well if you think about it. For those of you who are in crypto, even if it's just from the beginning of this cycle, 2019, never mind prior to that, it's worked out fine. If you believe in the 4-year cycle, all you really needed to do was one epic trade when the bear market was over, and it's still working out very well. You can stick to that model. The model is fine. Same with the stock to flow. Now, when it comes to making price targets, I couldn't do that, and the stock to flow does that to an extent, but I wouldn't really think about it in terms of that. But yeah, everything is just noise, and the overall models still fit. And if we have lengthening cycles, so be it. We could easily have that. The market is definitely different than it's been in the past. It's changed massively just since this cycle. I think I made a video maybe a couple of weeks back when we were looking at the differences of how much money comes in and out so regularly. And for the majority of this cycle, literally the majority of this cycle, the entire crypto market cap have been trading at less than $500 billion. And that was at its peak. Less than $500 billion, and now what we see is trillions coming and going like no tomorrow. I know that the market cap is just over $2 trillion now, but the money involved in it now, and the interest in it now, and the maturity of altcoins and Bitcoin's utility in itself is different. Anyway, I'm rambling all over again. Let's have a look at Stormex and Pundi. I've noticed that Pundi's had a bit of a move up actually, which is good. Nice to see. Let's have a look how StormX is doing. We're going to look at it through Bitcoin pairs, if that's okay, because given the fact that the Bitcoin dominance looks like it wants to increase, we do have to work out where these things stand. We don't want to be looking at these, not particularly with Tether. If you're going to be in something and it's not going to be Bitcoin, you've got to make sure that the chart is stronger than Bitcoin's. And at the moment, we're below the 200 exponential, punching up between the 200 and the 10. So super resistance here at 61. So this again could be the bottom. This could just be in slightly oversold. Let's have a look at the RSI and the money flow. They're not really giving any clues away. The MACD is still pretty bearish, even though it's having upticks on the histogram there. So we need to really close above that 200 exponential to at least have any kind of foundation for this to continue up. This one does like to pop, though, I have to say. This is one of the ones that I called the other day. So I did this big move here, and I got out right at there, and then I tried to get back in at 66, hoping that we were going to do it again, and it failed. So I cut my losses on this one. It might be something I'll live to regret, but I'm not going to be buying back into this one until it starts showing strength. And at the moment, it doesn't show strength. It's very early days. We were bearish right up until this morning. Do you know what I mean? We were bearish, and so for us to really look at these charts, and they've not even closed their dailies. Do you know what I mean? So we can't look at them and go, okay, yeah, we're going straight to the moon. We may not. We could easily, like I say, get rejected from that level from Bitcoin and come down to the 45,000, like that comment said, or lower over the rest of the month before. We just don't know. And so if something looks weak versus its Bitcoin chart like this, we have to deduce that it is weak. It doesn't mean that it definitely is. It just means that from a trader's perspective, there's not really a setup here that is encouraging. There's obviously, if you're thinking about trading, if you're thinking about investing, over a longer period of time, then yeah, you go the highs and the lows, and it's all just noise, and that's fine. But if we're looking at it in terms of a chart, it's not. There's no buy zone here. Doesn't mean that you don't buy the low, but from a trader's perspective, there's no trade here. So let's have a look at Pionex, because I noticed that was a decent performer from today, but it's also been a bit of a testing beast. So we'll look at this not with Bitcoin pairing, because the liquidity on that is so low. We're going to have to look at this one versus Tether. It's not an old chart either, so. Right, so this is the deal. So yeah, 4 hourly death cross has been pretty nasty, massively sold. How sold was it? Not massively oversold, but we did have bullish divergence on this one, actually, on these drives. So this was pretty good. Yeah, bullish divergence on the 4 hourly all the way down here. So I suppose this is playing out right now. Again, just like Bitcoin, Bitcoin broke through its 200 exponential, and that led to the second wave of the big pump today. But this one is so far struggling to close above it. Our money flow index reading a 96 on the 4 hourly. That's very high. It's very high. So I wouldn't be expecting it to make any further moves today. Doesn't mean that it can't do it over the next few days, but not from today. A closure above the center of the Bollinger Band here, so $1.40. That would be great, and this could allow for this chart to start turning up and go bullish again. And for those of you who watched me make the video on the video I made on this is I've been taking some savage risks. Obviously, we've had such a good old season and a great year, in fact, up until May, I suppose. And so I had a few bit of extra tether that I would normally have floating around, and my theory is that Pionex, even though this is a chart that I would normally stay well away from, if you remember it when it was trading it as NPSX, I think it was called, it was basically a bit of an underperformer, pretty rubbish chart, to be honest with you. And then when it started to pick up, it did some really epic, massive, banging moves. And I noticed from token swaps that what they end up doing is they get sold off once the token swap comes in. So they get sold off massively, then they get oversold, then they stagger around, and then they start to turn up. This one was doing okay. Now it's broken down, but this could also be just another opportunity to buy it. Given my theory, which is that token swaps get sold off into, then they recover to where they came from previously, and then the volatility matches the previous trading that it was when it was something else. So I used something like Stormex as one example. That used to be Stormplay. That was pretty standard, boring. Then it did huge, massive moves. Then it became Stormex, and kind of did okay, and then went into these huge, massive, crazy, volatile, big, massive swing moves. Same thing happened with eGold. eGold, when it traded as Elrond, pretty rubbish, and then just absolutely exploded. Then became eGold, got sold off massively, and then did a U-turn and then went to the moon, basically. So it's a theory, and the theory is just that. We don't know if it'll turn up like the same thing that eGold and Stormex did. It's just a theory. That's why I didn't put an enormous amount into PundiX. And actually, just for the record, I'm actually just as of today managed to make some money on that one, but it was doing okay. I think my entry was around about $1.35 or so, and just kind of forgot about it because, like I say, it's not based upon the chart, it's based upon a theory. Your theory is right. Another theory of mine. Your theory is right. Happening a bunch of people. You get well soon. Yeah, there's my theory about being ill. Yeah, it's definitely makes sense. And my little daughter as well. She's 20 months old. She was more or less born just before the pandemic. She's never been ill, and now she gets ill so easily. Yeah, someone could sneeze over in France and she'd catch something. Right. Hand, foot, and mouth. Yeah, I got that as well not long ago. Yeah, I am a petri dish at the moment. Right. Lockdown hasn't been great for the immune system. Uncle Rich says thumbs up. Yeah, you can thumbs up, everybody. Like I said, there's a freebie. It's just because I've not been able to do videos and live streams, so I thought I'd do this one quickly for everybody. Tomorrow I'll be doing it normally for Patreon members, and like I say, I'm well enough. I can do it. I can do it now. Right. Please have a look at Kin and OMI and Vet. Okay, let's have a look at all of those then, shall we? Kin, I noticed, because I had my eye on Kin for a little bit actually, and I held off from buying it. I think on one of these live streams we were doing maybe a month ago, or maybe even a little longer. Oh yes, AI. I'll talk about that in a minute actually. I held off on buying Kin, and I'm kind of glad because I was going to buy it on when we were looking at these live streams when we were coming down to test the 1 cent zone. It must have been after this, I don't know, and I noticed it went up anyway, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have bought it, and now I'm quite glad that I didn't. So if we see this is a death cross. This isn't a chart that wants to be bought based on moving averages, but we are turning up just as everything is turning up. So let's have a look at the supports. Do the supports match anything of any kind of relevance, and is it strong or tangible? Because moving averages aren't the be all and end all. I mean, it's not neat and tidy. There are certain areas where we could say, okay, this support does match. So we had this area here after this pump. We spent a fair few days down here. We spent a bit of time here being rejected here. Top of this pump here. So yeah, I mean, this could essentially be a low. This could be the low. But based on momentum and moving averages, we're below almost all of them. We've got a fresh death cross coming through, but death crosses in a bull market aren't the worst thing in the world. It would be much worse if we were in a confirmed bear market and we saw death crosses. We'd be like, right, now we should expect some serious pain. But if we are turning up in the market, even if Bitcoin is going to be the more dominant asset, it's not the worst thing in the world to see a death cross like this. And if it did play out and we came back down to this support, then what would we be looking at? 17%. So it looks small on the chart, but it's obviously it can be deceiving. So yeah, fair enough. We could easily come down to revisit that and maybe even get lower. This is Kin at the end of the day. Look, it trades at 289,000 in a 24-hour period. It's not heavily traded, and it is a bit of a shit coin, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it's turned up a little on the MACD there. The RSI isn't really showing anything I would be too interested in. I'd like to see a real breakout on the RSI with conviction, and it looks like it wants to, but obviously that could easily come back down again. and because today's pump could get sold off, by midnight. I'm not suggesting that it will. 4 hourly is looking a little bit better than the daily. I'd like to see this rise above the cloud, and obviously the 200 exponential. This has been sold off to a massive extent here, so it could be at its bottom. It's like everything else, we're talking on the day of a pump from how long has this been going on for a whole month's worth, over a month's worth of bearishness. So this is day one that everybody's starting to get interested about things pumping, but they we forget, don't we, how we felt yesterday and the day before and the week before that, and so on and so on and so on. So nothing has changed on this chart, even though it's up. What are we up? 6%, 7% right now. It's not bull market time for this chart right now. This chart isn't showing signs of strength. It could only maybe at a push be considered to have made its bottom. But again, let's not get too overexcited about that. Let's just put things into a little bit of perspective when we think about what things should look like. And this is another one of the many reasons why I chose to cull the herd, right, and go back into Bitcoin in a much larger position, is because when we think about things like what we've just looked at. I know it's not fair to compare kin with Bitcoin, but if we were to do that, what we'd see is on the 4 hourly, we've already we're above all major moving averages on the 4 hourly here, and with kin, there's a massive gap between the two of them. This is way more bearish than that, and I know that you could obviously get way more money back from investing in something like kin if it goes the right way. It's the beauty of altcoins. It's like leverage with spot trading. But look, that's no position to be in, and this is a position to be in, right? We're above all major moving averages. This will forge a golden cross on the 4 hourly that should hopefully then transfer to we never got a death cross on the daily to start with. And what did we get on kin? Have we got a death cross on the daily? Yeah, we've got one coming in now. So this is what I mean. You kind of got to, in many ways, side with the strong. For better or for worse, and Bitcoin unfortunately is the stronger asset, and with Bitcoin dominance being so low and potentially turning up, if anyone was around literally this time last year when Bitcoin did its big breakout, there was a 300% rally from Bitcoin this time last year, when it went all the way up to 38,000 or so, 35,000, and it left things like this behind. They didn't move. Kin didn't move. I doubt it will have moved much. It wouldn't have done 300%. This is where I go back in time and see that it did. Let's have a look. So where were we? So October, so this is what I'm talking about. It was going down. So Bitcoin did a rally, for a 300% rally during the September, October, November period, and what happened here? So we went down, 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 and down, and then obviously massive move there. But you get what I'm saying, right? Bitcoin dominance was getting higher and higher and higher. At the moment, we're very low for Bitcoin dominance. So if there is to be a change in behavior for Bitcoin dominance, and Bitcoin dominance breaks out from here, even if it were to make a small recovery up to, let's just say, 50% dominant, that's going to be devastating for small cap alts, probably. And so it's something we should be aware of, and something I'm very aware of because I've seen it before. I don't want to end the bull market sitting in altcoins that don't do anything. Anyway, we'll leave it there for that. So kin, I'm not a big fan of, but OMI, I am a big fan of, and this is certainly not one of the ones that I called. This has been epic. So we've entered into this accumulation zone, broke out the accumulation zone, went up to our first target, broke above here, and throughout this problematic period that we've had over September, we've held above the half-cent zone. Right, this is a big deal, and it's allowed for the centre of the Bollinger Band to catch up with it. We spent most of our time above the 10 exponential. We also have from all the way back down here, and again this is something that you might have heard me talk about on the channel. This is your buy signal down here, crossed above the cloud, Chiku span above the price action, and the conversion baseline cross here. This is a long-term position based upon the Ichimoku cloud. Buy here, let the trend ride. The only way you'll get out of this trend is if this touches the price or if the blue crosses the red. For the moment, it says stay and hodl into this position. This one's fine. This doesn't tell you how far it will go, but we've mapped out our next target, which is up here, and that would be one of my sell targets, 0.7%, and I like the way it looks. We are turning up a little bit. I mean, this MACD is in bullish territory. We're above the 0 point, so yeah, we got a negative cross. That's fine. It's a volatile asset. It doesn't trade massively. It swings and does big moves. But it held above the half-cent zone, which is the most important part of what's happened here. So a consolidation above strong level of support. Now the moving averages are catching up to it. Should easily lift it up to the next level. And then probably I would expect a rejection from there. And we'll see how the Ichimoku cloud transfers that next level of resistance. If we get rejected from here, which I expect we will. If we get rejected from here, will we get the get out of our trade signal, or will it basically eventually consolidate and pump and go to the next level? The next level being probably 1 cent, really, 1 cent, and then we keep reassessing the situation. Like I say, I mean, the Ichimoku cloud is relevant for the people who took the trade or bought in the accumulation zone, and just below or at this level. This is when it's appropriate, because it tells you to get in here, and it'll tell you to get out wherever, whether it's now or later on in the month or next year. It'll tell you to get out, but it's only really relevant for those who got in when the buy signal was generated. But it is good, and it is saying the trend is still going to continue, and I would expect 0.7% to be met next. Right, let's have a look at VET, shall we? VET2, we'll look at BTC for this one because it's an older chart. So we can look at that. So right, so incoming death cross, it's not going to happen. Well, I mean, we can't say that, but I mean, there is an incoming cross here, death cross potentially. So we came up to the 200 exponential, obvious place to be rejected from. It's been a big move today. It's come down a fair bit, but it's still outperformed Bitcoin today. That's fine. This has been an underperformer, I have to say. I've got a position in this that I was hoping to break out from this level, so I bought around, it must have been either these lows or maybe these lows, expecting this to come out and break out from here, go to the next zone up here. 384 sats, massive failure. That said, though, let's bring it to a weekly, not a 3-day. This is a decent chart on the weekly, so we held up on the green 50 exponential, so the obvious place to buy it for those who believe in it. So green 50 is always on a weekly. It's like the next low before bear market kicks in, basically, or a massive breakdown. So it's for the ultimate knife catch, the slowest but most deadly knife catch, with a decent payoff opportunity, I suppose, if it works out. And again, if you're under the impression, like myself, that there is a bull market still in full swing, and we're yet to go into a bull run, which is likely to take place later on this year or maybe even next, then yeah, I suppose this is where you would try it. So a nice reaction from here, and I suppose a few wicks down, scaring the pants off people, including me, but this would be the area to be buying at. So the obvious target from where we are right now versus Bitcoin is going to be up here, the 300 sats, 31% move from now. Again, the last 2 times we touched this, we had a very bad reaction on both attempts, and the last one was worse than any. Three very negative weeks. Let's just measure the top to the bottom there, even to wick, 35% versus Bitcoin. So that's worse than it sounds. Worse than it looks. The weekly isn't really showing any signs of massive strength, I would say. So it is still very much a knife-catching event, but the daily looks like it wants to turn up. We do need to break above the 230 sat zone, basically the 200 exponential. We can't be closing candles below there, because then that invites a death cross. This is promising, and let's just have a quick measure of this RSI. I know that's so this could be considered an RSI breakout. So there's some decent volume behind this, but yeah, the day hasn't closed, and we need to see what takes place over the next week or so. I would be more bullish to see this close above these moving averages with this RSI breakout. This would suggest change of behaviour and definitely a move back up to the 300 sats, and then hopefully it will continue like I expected it to in the beginning. But again, we've got to remember, it's just one day so far. It's just a single day of movement. Right, so I'm just going to a guilty pleasure of mine. have a look at this. All right, so this is banging right now. Okay, I'm not shilling anything to anybody, by the way. So obviously this is not financial advice. This is one of the basically one of the worst trades I entered, maybe in years, right? And it was based upon a simple support. And I looked at this chart and I was like, right, it kind of goes against most things. But again, in the same vibe as when I was doing the things with what's that coin? I was Pundiex, right? So it was in the same kind of mindset. I was thinking, right, well, I've got some extra money here to play with now, from how generous the market's been to me over the last, at least just over the last few years, obviously. So let's put some money into let's get into Kucoin, all right? Everyone's talking about Kucoin gems. So I looked at this chart, I was like, Jesus, what a fall from grace. But what a nice pump, okay? There seems to be a support built around the between 2 and 2.2 cent, right? So let's take a risk and we'll buy around between 2 and 2.2 cent. So I did that, then the support broke down and I basically sort of, well, I didn't cry, but I was a little bit upset. But yeah, it is what it is. The turning point for this one, there's two turning points. First of all, and again, I am not shilling this to anybody, so I don't want anyone going out buying it. God no, because like I say, it was the worst, and is maybe not the worst now. We've had a decent move on it today, but it is still up there with one of the worst trades I've ever done. This isn't really showing it here. This is unfortunate. It's not showing it. That's a real bummer. That. But if you go to the Kucoin chart itself, I'm using HyperTrader here. But if you go to the Kucoin chart itself, the weekly RSI, the weekly MACD, sorry, is actually visible. It's not visible here for some reason, but it's visible on there, and it is about to, and it has been throughout this entire downtrend, turning up. And over the next few weeks, I would expect it to actually make it a positive cross, and that in itself would suggest massive change of behaviour. Now this is working out extremely well, and this is what I've been saying to my mates who bought in this with me, because it's always the way. Your mates don't listen to you about anything you say, until of course they do finally listen, and then they copy you on the worst trade you ever did. But I was saying, look, there's nothing to write home about until we break above, first of all, this green 50 exponential. This on the 4 hourly has been our main area of rejection, and it's been a pain in the ass, and it's been knocking us down all this entire time. Today we've really broken out with conviction, and we're testing the 200 exponential on the 4 hourly. This is a big deal, right? So and then only a little bit further to go from here, and we're back up at that super support zone, which obviously it wasn't that great in the end, but and then this would really turn up. Okay, now I'm not shilling this, but the more I think about it, especially when I looked at it on the weekly, not on this chart but on the Kucoin chart itself, it was looking like it's brewing, turning up over the next few months into November. If we think about the way the Ichimoku cloud here, the big red cloud is going to dissipate around the mid to late October. This might give it the move, the power that it needs to actually start to really move up. So look at this, 25%. It's one of the best movers of the day, of my Kucoin gems anyway, and Bepro, and like I say, I'm not shilling it, but I think that this was going to actually work out in the end. Obviously, this is a massive underperformer in it, and like I say, I'm not giving financial advice whatsoever. And again, there's going to be a lot of moves throughout between now till November, which is where I'm expecting this to turn up. But if this were to turn up from the level that we're at more or less right now, thereabouts, and we move up to here, that's 1,000. That's a 10x really from this level now. Again, it may not. And I would expect that there's a lot of people that will be selling all the way up. The sell orders on this have been massive. Anyway, I imagine that everyone's tuned out now. They don't want to hear about this pile of crap. Let's move on to something else. So there's a lot of questions here. So I'm going to start picking them at random, all right? Because there's too much to get through, and I'm not going to do this stream for an enormous amount of time. We're going to be doing a full one tomorrow for the Patreon members, obviously. This is just a bit of a catch up, and I suppose after a day like today, we might as well get a little excited and look at some of these charts. Right, so where are we? Let's have a look at XRP. Let's have a look at XRP. Well done, AI. I'm very impressed with you. Thank you for doing that. Let's see where we go in November. XRP, right? So versus Bitcoin as well. So let's clear off some of this noise. Right. So it's done okay, but obviously Bitcoin's outperformed it by half a percent there. No big deal. If you watched my video, and again, not to just be plugging my videos and stuff, but I made a video on XRP saying that look, if we dump down to the 200 exponential, and it would be the upper 80s, and you know, not to blow my own trumpet, but it was the upper 80s where we came down to, and then that would be the buy, right? That would be the buy or the long. That might see you through to the end of the bull market, right? And I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but so far it's worked out okay. Now, obviously, we dumped down here. That was the low, and we retested the 200 exponential again and again. Anyone who knows XRP knows that the 200 exponential is a very good friend of XRP's, and whether you're super bullish or super bearish, they just love to be. They can't stay away from each other, you know. They're like. What is it, like a couple on a honeymoon? You know, they just literally can't stay apart from each other in a bull or a bear market. They always come down for a little hug and a kiss, and that's what happened here. And so now I would expect, you know, if we are going into bull mode again, then XRP will then, you know, turn up. This might be the last time that we touch this, and this is where we make our next big stab up. This is the resistance zone, and it is a zone. We tested it here, we came into it here, and we couldn't take it. And I was expecting this to continue because we had a very good read here. This is the ultimate buy zone, basically. I said, look, we're going to get a decent run on XRP, and we got it very quickly. It's not quite the same now as it was. It's not as easy to read as it was back then. That was a great signal. We caught that one really well. 4 hourly, look, we're being supported so far so good on the 200 exponential. So this is all very, very promising, I have to say, very promising indeed. And actually, if we look at this as a signal in itself as well, a closure above the cloud, green portion of the cloud in the future, the Chiku span's closed above the cloud as well, and we got our cross down here. So we got 4 components to suggest continuation, not massive continuation, but continuation from here, which is 1, 2, 3. So maybe that was the move there, perhaps, maybe based upon this signal. When you get one of these signals, this says, all right, we're going to pump. So maybe we got that pump already. Let's have a look on these vibes over here. We could easily go higher. I'm not saying that we would, but it has the capacity to go higher in the short term. Long term, though, I am a believer in XRP on the chart. I studied the market cycle. It's one of the oldest altcoins out there. This seems very clear that it was always going to work out. And but again, you know, buying at $1 is very different to those who bought at, you know, 17 cents or in the 20-cent zone, which is where I bought all mine at. And again, it's one of those things where you study a market cycle and you go in based upon the overall, the grand picture, and that's what I did with XRP. And it was basically buy low, and I intend on selling high. And my high targets for XRP is only, you know, starts at about $4, and I'll scale out from $4. But yeah, the daily's turning up on the MACD, and we've always had this decent read here on the weekly on both Bitcoin and Tether. The money flow index has these pumps and dumps and this upwards facing trend line. And again, you know, I did say that when we come down to retest it for a stab down here, then this might be an opportunity to buy. And again, it's not a leverage position. We're talking a weekly Bitcoin pairing here, so this isn't for those leverage traders. But it's still in keeping with the way that this has played out since 2019, right? So it's the same read there, and I think we have the same read from what I remember on the Tether pairing. Yeah, we do. And this goes back even further to 2018. So we have this, and we came down to retest it here, and since that retest, it's finding a bounce on money flow index, and that should continue up until we reach a peak. I would be thinking the peaks, you know, for this, you know, this is a Tether, so if we're going into full swing, this should get overextended and reach into 90 and above. It's never got massively overextended on the on the money flow index on the weekly, which is strange because most times you'll see most assets get really overextended, and XRP never really has. And I'm talking massively overextended. We're talking like 95, 6, 7, 8 on the weekly money flow indexes, which basically tells you to get out, whereas this one doesn't give you, it's not that simple actually. XRP, it goes until it can't go anymore, but it doesn't really give you a get out signal. So this is what I mean, it's a volatile beast. I like it for what it is. It's one of the better looking charts that we've seen so far, and it's still sticking to its normal process of massive consolidation and getting ready for its next brewing move. But there's no signal there for a giant massive move, but there is a signal potentially for the bottom or a knife catching event, which is the 200 exponential, which is what I always say to people when they want to buy XRP, and they normally always ask me saying, what is it too late to get in as it's pumping? And what I would always say is, look, XRP gives everybody another opportunity around a 200 exponential. Doesn't matter how high you are going, doesn't matter how far away you are from that 200 exponential, they will meet again. And if you want your XRP, that's your time to buy it. Right, let's have a look. Right, random stab in the dark. We've got 10 minutes left. Let's have a look. Sol. So we'll have a look at Sol then, shall we? It's a very popular looking coin. Everyone seems to want to know about Sol these days. Sol to, come on, load it up. Load it up. Bitcoin and Tether. Right. So, Sol to BTC, above all major moving averages. Good place to be. Is this a consolidation over? Probably, I would say it is. Yeah, and again, this is versus Bitcoin, so this is quite nice. So we've got a break out. Technically, it doesn't mean that it's going to go straight to the moon. It means that it's out of a consolidation, which means it could just go sideways or it could go straight up. It could do one of the two, but it's unlikely to continue to go down in that shape. And again, if we close here, we're above the centre of the Bollinger Band, which is good. Can we check this on a weekly? Is it old enough to do that, really? Well, I suppose we can. I mean, it's a super turbo bullish chart, isn't it? So there's nothing other than it being bullish to look at there. Let's check the 4-hourly. 4-hourly is very nice above all major moving averages, and actually this looks like a great signal kicking in. Where's the Chiku span? That's a bit of a shame that there. We are about to get a conversion baseline cross above the cloud here, and the Chiku span is just digging into these portion, this part of the price action here. So where are we? We're going to get this cross confirmed maybe over the next 24 hours. We'll see. Oh no, the cheeky span is above the price action. Alright, so this could be a great signal brewing at the moment. You'd have to keep your eye on this one, and if we get it, we get it, and it's something to be something not to be and again, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is what this indicator means, okay? And it's for you to decide whether you want to play it. And I would definitely suggest any of you who haven't looked at the Ichimoku Cloud that you should learn to use it, because it's a very valuable indicator. It's the only indicator that I use that's not based upon strength of trend and momentum. It does actually give buy signals. So as much as I love watching Crypto Face on my days off and stuff, what is a great character. The Market Cipher certainly seems to have value to it, but you don't need all that. The Ichimoku Cloud does do great signals, and this would be one that's brewing right now. So you're getting this blue across the red above the cloud. That's part one. Part two is your relationship to the price action with this Chiku span, which is above the price action. So that's part two, and we're pretty much good to go. So I like it. So cross above the cloud, Chiku span above price action. It's all looking very nice. But again, this isn't crossed yet. This candle hasn't closed, so we'll see where we are tomorrow. If we get that signal, then I would be up for it, definitely. Right, Sol's good on Bitcoin. Let's have a look at it versus Tether. So yeah, on Tether we don't have the same signal. The cross was below the cloud, so it doesn't count for the continuation vibe. So that's better. I'd rather see a cross versus Bitcoin than Tether, because it potentially offers a larger move, and it certainly means that if you're going to choose one or the other, at least while that trend is in play, you're going to outperform Bitcoin. So I prefer a Bitcoin pairing looking stronger than a Tether pairing. But yeah, this one never got a death cross on the 4-hourly at least. Anyway, let's just check the daily. What's going on here on the daily? So very, very good looking chart on the daily. And again, are we breaking out of the consolidation vibe? Yeah, we are. what does the RSI look like? Do we have a breakout on the RSI? I'm sure we do. Yeah, we certainly do, and we're turning up. So this would suggest that we've got much further to go on this one as well over time. So it's one of the better looking charts. Really, it's very strong, trading massively. So this is also another massive component to looking at any chart that you're trading. What's the liquidity like? And in this case, it's massive. This has got to be one of the biggest traded coins these days. I mean, look at the size of that. Now you compare it to some of these little things that we trade, or that we've seen so far, that trade at less than $250,000. You've got a massive liquidity issue there. You know, if you bought like a big bag of that, and you know the trading volume remains the same, and you've done a 10x, you're going to have a liquidity issue. You're not going to be able to sell. You know, you're not going to be able to realize your value of what you've made there. But with something like this, you will not have that problem. The liquidity is there, so looking pretty good. Yeah, best chart so far. And given the fact that we've broken out here with conviction, and we've not even made the positive cross here, plus we've got a brewing conversion baseline cross on the 4 hourly that should get confirmed over the next 4, 12, 16, 24 hours, then yeah, I'll be up for this one, making brand new highs reasonably soon, you know. Right, so that's my Telegram chat. Right, we've got one more. We can fit one more in. Let's have a look. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? There was someone on my Telegram chat wanted me to look at, is it XTZ? So we'll do that, even though I can't see it on the requests there, because I value my patrons more than anyone else. XTZ. So we'll look at it versus Bitcoin and Tether, because I know what Rich was saying on the Telegram. He's saying that there's a conversion baseline cross, like what I've just explained there. But from what I saw on the Tether pairing, it was a bit misleading. So let's have a look at that. So yeah, so this looks like it is one. So you see this, you see, all right, so there's a positive cross. But what we're really seeing here is that, yeah, it's been bullish since all the way back down here. We got a cross down here under the cloud, so it's not a continuation of a trend cross, but it's worked out so far anyway. This has been a very good signal. That wouldn't be the signal. I mean, this is basically just a strong trend, and then breaking above the 200 exponential gets continuation. But what we see here is that, yeah, it's been positively crossed since all the way down here, and then during this, you know, look at the state of it. I mean, it's up and down, up and down. We basically got what technically was a negative cross followed by a positive cross, but it's more or less a continuation of the original positive cross. So it's not a new signal in itself. I wouldn't look at this and go, this is a conversion baseline cross, because what this has been is an uptrend, right? The best way for an Ichimoku cloud to really be forged is in a sideways. After a consolidation, you get a period of sideways accumulation, and then if you're lucky, you will get one of those crosses as we're turning up, and that means that a new trend has begun. Already, this trend has already begun, and from the bottom to the top, let's just see from where we are, bottom to here is 200% up already. So this isn't really a place to be getting across in the first place. I'm not saying that this can't continue. It probably will continue, but it's not going to be based around that cross. That's just it's one of those things that we see. But this is interesting, right? So on the weekly, we do have one from last week. So from last week, you do have a conversion baseline cross. So this would suggest from that week. So just last week closed, the new week began, and there is a weekly cross there. So maybe that's what you're talking about. And if that is the case, then you're spot on. You've got that. So this is a weekly, and be prepared for ups and downs on a weekly, especially something that looks as wicky as this. But provided we don't get this Chiku span inside this price action by the time this candle body closes this week, yeah, that would be your first opportunity to get out, and this would be a cancelled signal. But yeah, that is a signal in itself, and that is good. Very bullish MACD here. On the weekly, very bullish. How high was the money flow index? 93. So we're still quite high here. So I don't know how high it could go, but yeah, I mean that's a signal in itself, and it's a very bullish looking chart in general. But I would be a little hesitant to say there's an entry point here, just based upon how high the money flow index reads. Let's quickly move it to the Bitcoin pairing and see if we've got anything on there. So yeah, a very different story on the Bitcoin pairing. We're inside the cloud here, so not quite as bullish here. almost like a completely different chart, isn't it? Really, it's all. I mean, just you just would not put the two together. But yeah, the weekly is not really showing anything particularly on this one, and the daily is saying to us nothing other than a continuation of trend. Quite a nice one as well. So for all those bot traders out there, this one looks like a nice bot to have. Big move up, big move down, big move up, big move down, big move up, big move down. And if it continues with this kind of vibe, this is exactly what you want out of a grid bot, really. This would be a great opportunity for a bot with these two pairs. This would be great. And that, I suppose, like I say, will conclude today's little mini live stream, a little freebie. And yeah, and like I say, if you like this, you can join the Patreon. But tomorrow I'll be doing it as normal. Is basically, it would be more valuable to do it tomorrow, so we can see how today closes and how tomorrow pans out. But the most important thing is just to stand back and respect the pump, but recognise that Bitcoin is still very much in the accumulation zone. And even though this has been a nice big move today, and it's very reassuring to see, all of this area here is still accumulation. So we're still in the accumulation zone. So maybe we're just going to accumulate still for a period of days or weeks before we finally break out above the $50,000 zone, but more appropriately, I would say, break out of this descending trend of resistance, and then we can talk about moon. But for the moment, still in accumulation, and so we have to just say, you know, if someone asks you what's Bitcoin doing, you say, well, it's accumulating at a high level. It's as simple as that. So let's just recognize what it's doing, and just don't expect it to continue, but don't be surprised if it dumps. And if it does continue, excellent. If it dumps, no big deal. It's accumulating. It's in the accumulation zone. We would only really get worried if we broke down below this zone here. That's my overall final vibe for Bitcoin. It could even break down, you know, below the 41,000, which luckily it didn't, but it could, so long as it doesn't break outside of this this triangle formation. I'm very happy with the way that it's working out today. But like I say, I do not get disappointed if you wake up tomorrow and it's back down again to where it started. And creeps all the way back down to 40,000 again. Don't be disappointed. Just say, okay, it's in the accumulation zone. We've been here since May. We're going to remain here for until further notice. But all the models still fit. Stock to flow, 4-year cycle, and even old Benji Cowen's, you know, lengthening cycles. It's all fine. It all still fits. And so let's just take it for what it is. And let's not take massive risks on shit coins as well. Unless, of course, you know something I don't. Or you like your exposure, you know, you've got a bigger risk appetite than mine, and then do what you want. But it would be a real shame, like I say, to end the bull market stuck in an altcoin that's sideways and up very slightly, but basically underperforming and outperformed by Bitcoin. And that's my way of looking at this. It would be a damn shame to end the bull market in a situation like that. Now, I expect a rotation anyway into Bitcoin and then back from Bitcoin into altcoins. So I'm sure every shitcoin will have its day in the sun within reason. But as it stands at the moment, you know, if we're thinking about in terms of risk to reward, the risk and the reward, you know, is going to be in your favor in a Bitcoin position, or a larger Bitcoin position than a shitcoin position anyway. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. And for those on the Patreon, I will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking by. Like I say, it's been a bit of a rough 7 days for me for a number of reasons, but I'm back now, and I will remain hopefully fit and healthy.